I am so frustrated. Like, I am so frustrated. Like, I've got so much I want to give. I've got ideas on color palettes. I've got ideas on silhouettes. And I've got a million people telling me why I can't do it. You know, that I'm not a real designer. I'm not this. I'm not a real rapper either. I'm not a real musician either. Like, I don't know how to play the piano. Like, I'm an artist. I went to art college. And was looked at like I'm soft because I like wore like Italian clothes. You know what I'm saying? When I'm rapping in front of camera and my pants is tight, trying to spit a verse for Cam. You know, so that's the same when I'm sitting there, you know, like sitting there at a fashion show. Like, I'm there because I appreciate Phoebe Philo. I appreciate Raph Simmons. I appreciate Ricardo Tisci, and I look at them as my peers, as creative people who dedicate their entire life to making something better for the world. Let me explain what anybody that knows an artist, and you know someone that's giving that, if you know an artist, there's only one thing you can say, give, or ask them when you see them. There are two words. Thank you.
Welcome to the Ego Trip, the weekly podcast that explores the different aspects of motivation, ambition, and you guessed it, the ego. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Ego Trip.
Welcome to the Ego Trip podcast. My name is Intuna Ikuri.
Jotty Notch.
Yes, sir. And this is officially episode one of this podcast, Mr. Jotty Notch.
Man, congratulations. We finally did it.
Yes,
this
sir.
Episode, we've been talking about this for 10 years, and we finally here.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. So to get you guys introduced to what this thing is, the Ego Trip, this podcast is created by two friends that basically have motivated each other through inspirational and motivational material wherever we could find it, whether it was YouTube videos, movies, books, all kinds of things that we would trade to pick each other up as we pursued our ambitions.
No talk.
But what we would also talk about that we don't think a lot of people talk about is how the ego plays into all of our interactions.
Absolutely.
Causing us to either move forward or move backwards in our pursuits. And so we find that fascinating. And as you guys could tell in the opening of this, we thought it was very fitting to put Mr. Kanye, Mr. Sleeves Up West at the beginning to set the tone. I think that was very fitting.
That sounded like an insult.
What? No, I liked it. I liked it. I was trying to
sleeves up.
Hey man, that's how he came out. That's how he came out to the world. When he came out, he had the sleeves up. And the backpack and the teddy bear. I could have said any one of those.
It just sounded like an insult. That's all. All
right.
My bad. All right.
I would have insulted you if I talked about the cocoa butter you were rubbing on your elbows before we started this podcast.
I ain't talking about me. I'm just talking about Kanye West, man.
Okay.
Why you gotta get out?
But yes. So, no, we were very passionate about how ego plays in all of our lives as we try to pursue our goals and ambitions, and how for some people, ego shows up and takes over and ruins the whole thing, or people are aware of it and they're able to go from there. So I don't know, man. So why do you think what made you feel like this was important to do?
Man, it was important because a lot of this stuff that we talk about, I don't think we don't get enough of this type of conversation as far as ego and how in depth it is, like how it all transcends in everything we do in our everyday life doing, especially in this day and time where entrepreneurship is greater than ever. Everybody is entrepreneur. Of course, now social media, everything, how everybody's interacting. We're all walking celebrities, even if you have 200 followers, 300 followers.
Right.
And I think this is a very good narrative to kind of, get into and just kind of explore. I think everybody has their own definition of what ego means. a lot of people be in denial, don't even know that they're
Right.
walking in it.
Yeah.
And, not even aware, because I wasn't aware for a long time going into my endeavors and different things that I was going into. So I think this is a very thing to kind of shine a light, and hopefully people will get a lot of it, because hopefully I get a lot of, things off of this too as well. And we
Right.
all learning together, just coming in as a community, learning and getting more information on this thing, ego. Because
Right.
it's a lot in that goes with it. You know what I mean?
Right. So, hey, I agree with you 100%. Now is a very special time in that, with the growth of social media, which is very young, which is still very early. It's still very young as far as how we use it, how we communicate with it, and where it's going to go from here.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be the thing that you see to be able to, holler at a woman or something, message in DMs. It's going to be more than that.
Right.
And so the other thing that's out there is, like you said, this is a special time in which we basically, you've got two personas. You have the online persona, where you live through that, and then you have who you really are.
Real talk. Yeah.
And we spend so much time on these platforms building up this person that may not even be real. We are trying to project some type of image. And, for some of us, we try to live that out when people see us outside of our homes. But when we are by ourselves,
Right.
with real friends or real family, you are two different people. So this is a weird time where everybody is a celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I think this is what I'm very excited about. No longer is it only for the people who are musicians or in movies or on the stage. This is for everybody. And I think the ability of being able to be self-aware as far as when it comes to the ego,
Right.
when you are feeling yourself too much,
Yeah.
and you're in precarious situations, that you're able to think through them clearly, and not with the influence of that behind you. So
Right.
yeah, man. No.
Yeah, what you said about the part about knowing yourself, that's I think that is the goal of this whole thing, is to kind of crack the codes within ourselves. Because not knowing yourself, you're really just living and walking around as a character that really you don't even know this character that you're
Right.
walking around being, and a lot predicated on ego.
Yeah.
Because of who the naysayers or whatever the case may be, what everybody around may look at you or perceive you to be. You're just acting out what you think people think of you, as far as what you think about yourself. And yeah, and that's the thing. And I think that in itself is an ego trip, is just walking around and kind of having this narrative that you play in your mind, that you think the world around you revolves around your thoughts, your perception, how you are. And what we doing, we going right into it and just,
Right.
calling it out, letting
Yeah.
it know, like, this is it.
Yeah.
That's ego playing out for that. So
So I'm trying to think of an example right now.
Imagine like when you take that to the extreme, where bad actors can now manipulate large swaths of people to do anything you want. It's a really, really bad state of affairs. And we compound the problem, right? We curate our lives around this perceived sense of perfection because we get rewarded in these short-term signals, hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value and we conflate it with truth. And instead what it really is fake, brittle popularity that's short-term and that leaves you even more, and admit it, vacant and empty before you did it. Because then it forces you into this vicious cycle where you're like, what's the next thing I need to do now? Because I need it back. Think about that compounded by 2 billion people. And then think about how people react then to the perceptions of others. It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
We talked about social media, then let's use that.
yeah,
Social media is something where you have your position of how you have your projection of yourself that you put out there, and then you interact with people. But when we talk about ego may manifest itself in a way where someone responds to a post that you made, saying something, making a comment, that maybe you didn't care for or that you think was directed at you, but that
Right.
person wasn't really talking to you.
Right.
And it's your own ego that takes over and says, oh man, that was a shot at me. You know, now I'm upset, I'm mad. And then your actions from there. And so that's an example of a potential, you know, ego trip.
Yeah.
You know, like we're talking
talk.
about,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
That may not be the, you know, the direct definition of ego trip, but as far as like what we're trying to really tackle in this podcast, I think it's fitting for that.
I think,
You know?
I mean, I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect for what it is, because we don't even know what this, like, even how social media, the aftermath, and what is the byproduct of this, that we are putting our time in the most in, and what we are doing, and we scrolling, and we looking at everybody else's world, and we worrying about people looking at it in our world and everything. Now, when we go out in public, we walk with this certain demeanor or a certain way of things, like knowing that, okay, y'all know where I come from. Yeah, I'm traveling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing that. And now we're coming to the time of seeing, okay, what is the aftermath of all of that? What is the, you know, all of this that we are these worlds that we're creating on social media, and what we putting out and we masking out. And you're right, when people commenting on your stuff and people
Right.
actually taking it to heart, and I think now in this time we're falling in probably the highest cases of depression that we ever have,
Yeah,
because
man.
of this stuff, which it all is on ego. It's like, you feel in your mind, I created this world. Well, how dare you,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
come into my space or tell me what it is that I am. And
Well, hey, so the other thing that's really cool is I think we're moving into a time you can see like famous, you know, pretty big influencers like Gary Vaynerchuk.
And the thing that I've been most fascinated by is the thing that connects all of us, regardless if we're in this industry, entrepreneurs, traders, mothers and parents, you know, piano players or traders on Wall Street, whatever it is. What has been very fascinating to me in this space is ego. Ego is a killer. You know, I've been really thinking about coming here this morning, and I was like, I really want to bring value. I hope I say something that really helps somebody. And when things change, and we're living in a very changing world, a lot of our contemporaries, maybe the people you looked up to or your grandparents that also did this kind of work, creative work, they had a strength or a weakness, a luxury or...
With social media right now, you made a good point. We have this ability to create these worlds that people see and think that we're doing better than we really are.
yeah.
And that isn't the truth.
Right.
And where does that get you? And like you talked about the depression,
Yeah.
we have this world full of people that are thinking that everyone else is doing better than everybody else.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
really deep down. And then the things that we do post, they're all highlight reels. We
Yeah.
only post, even if you look at mine, you only post the
Straight
stuff
up.
that's good. You don't
Yeah.
really I think if you do post that you had a bad day,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. You kind of look strange at that person,
Yeah.
you know?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You get a text or
or you do or
everything.
you make the assumption that the person posted for the attention.
right. Yeah.
You know, you can't even be so it's just this weird thing. You can't even be 100% transparent.
Right.
I mean, you can, but
But you can't be honest. I mean, you can't
said
be
you
honest if you
can't?
choose to be honest.
So
but
you can't.
It's kind of hard to. I mean, no. I mean, there's a lot of people that are honest and that
Yeah.
are doing their thing, and some people don't. And but as far as the majority of the people that's on there, they're on it for the attention.
Yeah,
They are on it, and so it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to mask those that are truthful
Yeah.
into those that are lies, because I mean, for the most part, everybody's doing the same thing. They're posting their life, they're posting their journey, they're posting
Right.
their thing. I mean, people posting their relationships.
Yo,
We're happy.
Hey, relationships, man. Ooh.
We're happy.
Yeah.
We got this and this,
And it's
then
not really like
it's
that.
not even like that. Hey, and it's just. We're creating. It's just like the movies. Like
Yeah.
you see the movies, you see how you follow the story of how they got together, and in the movie, and then at the end they get married, they're happy, and then happily ever after. The happy ever after is what we posting. and thinking like, okay, these moments, all right, these video shots where we was just running into, leaves and throwing leaves at each other, laughing and doing all of that. Not no way dissing the relationships or whatever. But everybody understands the perception of it because you see all these relationships and then down the line, the reality of that relationship comes out, because I think people are hooking up because of the social media and just what's going on.
Right.
That's what I thought.
I got with you because of what the projection that you put out,
exactly.
not the real person. Not the real person I was able to know.
And we doing that. So we doing that because we're lacking out. And this is just what I feel. I feel like we're lacking out the communicational part, the part where you're supposed to take time and being patient. I think we taking the patience out and getting to, okay, what is I don't need your number no more. Let me get your IG. And then we go to your IG and then you flipping through the IG and then you're like, oh yeah, this person right here. And then a lot of times what I do, I get the IG that I look at to see what crowd they be hanging around or whatever, to see what kind of things. See, okay, what is this? What they read books or whatever. Yeah. And I think we all do it to a degree, but I think it's cutting out the conversational pieces, the questions that you really need to be asking and the certain things. And I feel like a lot of people, they putting stuff out on the social media, but they don't want their business to be out. Like they don't really want to show you who they really are.
Right. It's all manufactured.
It's all manufactured.
So you talk about on the relationship end. Well, so for those to get you guys familiar with me, I am a technology entrepreneur, super nerd in my day life. But after that, I'm Clark Kent, Superman, right? No, but even in the entrepreneur space, which is popular now to call yourself an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So many of us are posting like pictures or you see it you see it just in general, just flipping through where it's like, I'm taking a picture of myself on a boat or I'm taking myself and pictures on vacations, or some people are spreading money on, putting money on the table, like like $1,000 on the table. You see that in the entrepreneurial world where even myself, so I'm not talking about these other people, I'm talking about myself. Even myself, I literally think like, hey, is this a good look for my image? Is this a good look for my business? Is this a good look? I try to shape this narrative around what I'm posting. And I think we all do that, but I'm just laughing. You're talking about relationships, but I'm even saying for those of us that want to be considered to be taken seriously as businessmen and women.
Right. Yeah.
We're all doing that. And really at the root of it, when, if I have to admit, it's really my own ego behind whether I post a picture or not.
Right. Exactly.
I honestly I would love to really post everything, like really show you the good and the bad, and I'm not doing that. Like if you scroll through my stuff, you would think, oh man, know.
Yeah.
I've got the model shots with my team.
Yeah.
I show when we do speeches and engagements and stuff, but I don't show you when we lost a customer.
Right.
I don't show you when our code, our system went down.
Yeah.
You're not seeing that. You're not seeing my face. I'm not talking to you about that. I'm not even on social media when that happens.
I know that right now.
Yeah. So
I'm on there.
So.
Because that's the thing. That's why that's why I had to tap out of it for a while. I had to be like, all right, I had to get out of this world because I can see how that could be confusing. So it's confusing because I know I'm supposed to be posting. I want to promote myself now. Me being a DJ and producer, doing what I do, I'm supposed to be advertising and marketing myself a certain way and supposed to be going and projecting that I'm out here doing it big at all these parties and and I'm DJing these parties, but another thing too.
Oh.
Another thing too though, like DJ these parties and everything, a lot of times I'll be solo. I'll be by myself, like a lot of times. Or that or I do have people around me, but I just don't want, I don't know. Sometimes I hand my phone off and then, and do that thing. But a lot of times I forget about it. I be in my own zone. Sometimes I need somebody to remind me and be like, hey, let me see your phone. Let's capture these moments and everything. Yeah. And then a lot of times I may not think, and this is what we do. And this may be ego. This is ego too as well. We be at certain things and we think it's not worthy enough to even be put or projected on there. And it's
so you take it off.
You take it off. Or no, you just don't do it at all. I'm like, man, I'm at this place. And it's a nice place. I'm DJing. It's a big crowd and it's all it is. But it's just thinking thinking of what everybody else would think, or looking at your stuff and what they're doing, or comparing yourself to somebody else's timeline. Man, my stuff don't look like DJ so-and-so's, or these famous people, or these other things. So am I worthy? I'm not worthy to be on the platform. So analyzing that, I mean, I'm not on that in that world now, but I'm just saying it's how it was with me.
So check this out. I heard a quote recently that talked about, I guess because I'm going to quote Gary Vee a lot here, because for those of you that don't know, Gary Vee, very prolific entrepreneur. He's like entrepreneur of the year right now.
Yeah.
So if you're not in that space, look up Gary Vee and you will see this short little man that's like doing it though. He's making a lot of money, but he had a great not a shot at all. I love him.
Yeah.
No, but he had a great quote on one of his videos where he talked about the reason why you guys aren't winning is because you care too much of what other people think. You care too much about what other people think, and you're not allowing people to see you fail on your way to learning and developing your business or your craft or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And now that we're talking on this, one can say it is the ego, it is our egos holding us back. I can say that for me. Like I'm not showing everybody the good and the bad with me building my business with my team.
Right. Yeah.
And for a lot of people, at the very least, the one thing I can say for myself is I had a group of people that helped me get started.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, a lot of us, we're not even getting started.
We're not even getting started.
We're not even getting started because we feel our ego is not allowing us to look bad. It's not allowing us to fail in front of our friends and family.
Y'all want to go to Africa? I'm standing up and I'm telling you, I am Warhol. I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh. Walt Disney, Nike, Google. Now, who's going to be the Medici family and stand up and let me create more? Or do you want to marginalize me till I'm out of my moment?
Or why don't you empower yourself and don't need them and do it yourself?
How, Sway?
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
I think that's where, and that's why I say the highest form, that's where the depression comes in, because we have a lot of, I consider myself a creative. I know how to do a lot of things. I'm not saying I'm a master of, any one thing, but I could do a lot of stuff. But, and there's a gift and a curse that comes with that, because with all these platforms and with all this stuff, I know myself, I can make myself look a certain way. I know I could do graphic design, I could do all this stuff and do it. But trying to do everything myself because I want it to look like how I see it in my mind. And then when I do it, then look at someone else's, or as somebody else come with even better, what if I think to myself is better. But like me as a creative, is kind of frustrating at times, or you create, or you think of yourself trying to do something great, or you want to do something, you have a great idea all together, and you start doing certain things, and you start, and what I'm talking about as far as social media or advertisement or doing anything, and you post it on there and you don't get the, you don't get the recognition as you thought,
or the reactions
or whatever. You just sit back and you're like, man, what is this? Or what's going on? To show that, the patient levels of what you're doing. Or am I not good enough? Or am I not doing all the things necessary to put it out? And when people listen to whatever material, if I produce music or whatever, I mean, to me, I don't have no problem with people even commenting and letting me know why they don't like it or what it is, or
really? Really?
I would have a problem, but I don't. I don't think I will. No, because I'm going to say this. Because it would improve. It would make me improve. It would make me better.
But wouldn't you feel a certain type of way? Wouldn't you feel negative about seeing people say, hey, that was terrible?
I think back then, but now I feel like, because I think in everything, and I think me and you talk about this all the time, vision is everything. Like when you have a vision, and I feel like the gifts, now I have an idea, now taking or really focus on it, because a lot of this stuff I'm battling against is my ego. And I'm looking like, okay, if you comment on my thing, it will crush me if you
Right.
say it's wrong. That's ego, right? So if I go into the place to where I'm open-minded and understanding, like I just said, I'm not the master of it. I know how to do a lot of stuff, and I'm pretty good at a lot of stuff, but it's not that I'm just fully professional or anything. I'm still learning. And in this thing, creative, and I got to look at it for myself. It got to fit me. You got to do things for yourself.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, knowing that you want to do the best you can because it's going to help somebody else. But looking for everybody's approval as far as what you're trying to do, I can't go down that route. But what I'm trying to say is, man, I kind of almost lost my train of thought. What I was trying to say when you asked that question, like really. But the thing is, what I feel like we have gifts, we have these gifts, and these gifts are not the purpose. The gifts is the things that we use as keys to unlock the doors. So we use these gifts to unlock the doors, to open these channels up to go to our purpose. And if you have a vision in mind, you have something in front of you, you got something, a way that if you have a plan to go to wherever you're going to go to, you're going to do what's necessary. You're going to do the creative side. You're going to do and it may be your passion. Music is my thing, art, doing all these things. But now I'm at the place right now. I know if I like it, I know there's probably a million other people out there that like it. I just got to go find those million people and tap into. And a lot of times we get too close to the cuff with our art to where we're thinking about the people that's around us instead of thinking about the people that's around. This world is bigger than us. And so it's like understanding, I think there's fear of like, okay, well, the people around me that's close to me or in the same state as me may not like it. And, that fear that nobody in the world will like it. And then, but if you travel or if you do certain things, you'll see that's wrong. Yeah. Because out there, they're really looking at you for your art, not looking at you for, I know you. That's what it is. That's what it is. So, when you get outside and when you travel and you start seeing things and you start experiencing things, I think the experience of it all will allow you to like get out of your ego, get out of your thing. I think a lot of us in our egos because we react in our ego and do everything is because we don't know better. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen nothing better. We haven't traveled or seen or being aware of what's going on.
So are you, you're suggesting that number one, ego is a negative thing.
Yeah.
Ego is kind of the root of the negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Ego holds us back from taking action.
Yeah.
But at least positive, constructive action. But you're suggesting what to break out of that. So it sounds like number one, you're saying travel, getting out of your comfort zone and traveling is one way to do it.
Right.
What else? What's another way to get outside of your head and the negative self-talk?
And I'll say number one is to know that you're like what I've learned now through the books and everything we read, your thoughts is not you. So we have these thoughts and we have these thoughts running in our head and we have this, but that's not really you. That's not you. You got to like turn those thoughts down and understand that, okay, because with all those thoughts, them thoughts is going to keep you there in that one spot. Keep constantly fixing.
Hold on, let me slow that down because that's a very ethereal thing, a very a hard to grasp concept.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, you're saying the things that you think about, that's not really you. Those are just thoughts that come and they go.
Yeah.
And you're the person that's just aware of these thoughts that come and go.
Yeah.
All right. And so we allow these negative thoughts to come in and we let those run.
Dictate our movements and where we go. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right. And so when we understand that, okay, like I went back to say, if you have a plan in motion, you have different things. And these are things I had to learn on the longer road that, okay, I cannot no longer, this goes back to that insanity type thing. Like people want these different results, but keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's because they're not changing their thinking, in their mind. They're not changing their environment. They're not changing their surroundings. They're not changing their place. If you want to go, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's real. It's like, if you don't want to work your job no more and you want to get into this thing and become an entrepreneur, the benefits of having this web and social media and all this stuff, you could do research instead of looking up everybody else and what they're doing and being nosy at what everybody else is doing.
Which is hard. This is the hardest time. This is the hardest time. Like that's what we were talking about at the beginning. It's the hardest time because everyone else is doing better than me.
Yeah.
Everyone else is further ahead than me. Or I don't want to start this. I don't want everyone to see me start when I'm not as good as I would like to be in my head.
Right.
So I'm going to wait, or I'm going to keep it secret, or I'm going to do it in the dark. And yeah, I'm guilty of that. Yeah, I'm super guilty of that. But I know that. I know you know about that.
Yeah.
But now it's crazy. It's like social connectivity is the greatest thing in the world, but it's also on the reverse, the worst thing.
It's like anything. It's a good and there's a bad. There's a negative, there's a positive.
Yeah.
But that's where the discipline comes in. I mean, through this time, I think we need a lot. I mean, this is the time where we really need discipline. We need to be.
Whoa. So, all right. So number one, at least I'm not numbering these in any particular order, but I'm calling them out like I'm hearing it, and I'm going to forget something. So if you're listening, yell at me and I'll remember. No, but so the first thing, so the first thing you were talking about was the comfort zone, actually traveling and getting away from those surroundings that you're familiar with that feed into negative self-talk.
Straight up. Yeah.
But, and I think you were getting close to saying this, and I'm taking it before you say it, so I get the credit. Ego trip. I think one of the greatest things you could do is actually get into, like we were talking about earlier, actually meditation or anything that you can do to develop better self-awareness.
Yeah.
Basically getting to really, really know yourself. Like know yourself as far as what you're good at.
I'm a big believer. I think that mental health, mental fitness, meditation, it's going to be the whole thing. And it's going to be good.
Benefits of that, since like when you talk about just get into meditation, what?
Well, meditation. So basically getting to the point to where you slow down, you slow down and you unplug from social media.
Yeah.
You unplug from, because a lot of times what we're really doing is we are distracting ourselves.
Right.
We say we want these things and we never, and like you said, it's insanity. We say we want something or we want to be at a certain place.
Yeah.
And we never actually slow down to look inside of ourselves and slow down enough to figure out, okay, what are my gifts?
Yeah.
What is my purpose?
Straight up.
What is the best thing I have to bring to the table and offer? And then go from there as far as laying out a plan to execute on what it is that we want to do. Oftentimes you'll have that vision, you'll have an idea of what you want to do, kind of. And when because here's the thing, people say I don't have enough time. I got a full-time job.
Yeah.
I can't sell, what have we heard? I can't sell my beauty products online because I don't have time. I don't have time.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, if you only work 8 to 5, you really do have time.
Yeah.
You really do have time if you cut that time out. But what we do is we distract ourselves with shows, TV shows that we're trying to watch, or other activities going on, parties, other things, and we're not slowing down. So I was super long-winded. But
nah, dude.
Meditation, the practice of it is so huge because it's literally forcing you to do nothing.
Yeah.
And just sit there.
Yeah.
To just do nothing, sit there and just observe the thoughts to slow down long enough to observe the thoughts that come in your head. And what you end up doing is, I think when you sit there like that, you become aware and take notice of the negative self-talk.
Right.
When you're sitting there and you're first trying to meditate for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, it's a very awkward thing. And it slows you down enough to really be able to pay attention to that. After you stop the actual act of meditating, you just get better at noticing your negative. Yeah. And I think from there, you get this better sense of being able to not only observe the negative self-talk, but to also start to realize the positive, to ignore the negative self-talk and then start focusing on the positive. And I'm not good enough to do this. Okay, no, I'm okay. Let that
Yeah,
pass.
yeah.
No, I can do that.
Yeah.
Here's what I can do. And I
Yeah.
think you start having this small, subtle shift that takes you there. So yeah, super long-winded, man. My bad.
Oh, it ain't. But being aware of that too is being aware of like, and I hear a lot of people now is on these positive vibes and everybody's on this good vibe stuff. And I need to have good vibes around me, everything stuff. But the thing is, when you in that place and when you meditate and when you clear your mind, is that you are actually diving into those feelings. You diving into that. Like, so if there is bad vibes, you are getting to that mode where it's there, but it's not. You get to a point where it's not a fake. It's not phasing you into a
Right.
degree. You just like, okay, you go into them feelings or whatever it may hurt or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that's attacking you and your ego or whatever. You feel it, but then you realize and looking at it, thinking of it objectively, like going out and just saying, okay, I know what this is.
Right.
Oh, I understand. Okay. Let me just, let me phase that in the back. And even through all, whatever the bad vibes it is, I think that's what we're getting ready for. You got to fully equip yourself to go out and handle your business. And a lot of people thinking that's the problem. And that's a lot goes on in what you're thinking and the ego and everything as well as you're going out here thinking that things is going to go the way is in your mind,
in your
how you
head,
perceive things and how you think things. You've been in arguments before. We've been in arguments. We all had girlfriends. We all had certain little situations or even just homeboys or whatever. And you get into these conversations. Just a couple of days ago, we was talking and
I won, yes.
but we got into a little debate.
Yeah.
And we got into a little debate. We were talking and we were both saying the same thing. But the thing, it wasn't about the topic no more. It was about
Just trying to win.
Yeah, no, we was trying to have each. We wanted to hear it in our mind. No,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know we're saying the same stuff, but you're not saying it the way I,
Right.
Think it. And we do that every day. We do that with everything. We have this. We all have this process where we think that we assume that everything got to be the way we think. Okay.
Right.
I want it to come out like this. I want to start a business and I want to, I get my business. I get my, I get my LLC or whatever I do. I got my business together. Now for to start a business. As soon as I do this and this and this, everything's going to be a breeze. This finna be a breeze. And I'm going to go and go out here and sell these cupcakes. And everybody's just going to just storm through here and I'm going to make all types of money.
Right.
No,
it doesn't
work
that
like
way.
that. And then, so I was taking a moment and just sit back and think about, okay, this possibly, I have to do all these steps. I got to grind. I got to work. I got to put
Right.
all this time in. And there's going to be times where it's going to be some frustration. There's going to be times where you do, and I'm using this analogy as far as cupcakes, but it could be anything because cupcakes, you bake them and you got to sell them. You got to sell them at a certain time.
Of all the example concepts,
You got to look at the analogy, man.
Okay, all right.
You didn't let me get the point out, man. You just gonna just stop me in the middle of my thing. I'm saying this. This is what I'm saying. If you bake cupcakes, you got to sell them at a certain amount of time.
Right.
But if you don't, you got to give them out for free. And then you thinking, okay, I'm buying material. I'm actually putting more money in than I'm,
Making.
I'm making, or I'm giving more money out than I'm making in.
Right.
And I'm using that analogy because we do that we do that with our time. We do that with everything. We put all this, I'm doing this stuff out here. I'm out here DJing, or at one time I used to go and I used to DJ for free. I just do things for free. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, man, am I wasting? I'm not making nothing out of it. I'm not doing it, but it put me in positions where I was doing a lot of stuff. And as far as after a while, things started happening and stuff go. And I think the part that where people they don't really explore it, and I think the ego kind of affects that is the work ethic. And that's where it's like, yo, all right, this doesn't go the way. Okay, I'm just gonna give up on it. I'm gonna go the easy route. I'm just gonna go back to my job, or I'm gonna just go back doing what I'm used to getting money at, or doing that will give me that thing. You can get something that gives you that validation. You can go and it's even like we can go and get a job and go get a 9 to 5, and I have nothing against that. But I'm talking about those that really are called to be entrepreneurs or got a vision or got a
creatives
creative
or
or
artists.
anything
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
musicians or whatever, you know that's what you want to do.
Right.
But you just, because it's hard or you feel like it's not the instant gratification, you turn around and be like, all right, let me go and do what I got to do, you know what I mean, that I know. I hear a lot of people talk about this. A lot of people try to talk me out of what I'm doing. They be like, hey, man, you know, you could be chasing that dream and then probably nothing will come out of it, man. You got to think about having a family. You got to think about it. I'm like, man, what? To me, that's not my quality of life and what and I do know what will make me happy. I know I got to do what makes me happy. And I know that I will be happy and passionate about. And I think a lot of people they're more willing to settle than anything. And that plays a lot with the ego because you're trying to feed, you want to feel comfortable.
Well, so how about this? We've been talking about this for a while as far as the ego. I think we need to actually take a step back and just and actually break the ego down as far as like what it is, because a lot of us, we have a perception of what it is from the standpoint of ego is only I think the popular understanding is ego is that thing of somebody is overconfident.
Yeah,
that's considered it. So
absolutely.
I actually went and just looked up just the pure definitions of it. And so the first definition I think most people are familiar with. So ego, noun, a person's sense of self-esteem. I can't read. A person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance.
Yeah.
So that's the number one, I think, popular understanding of what the ego is. All right. So number two,
that sense of entitlement.
So version 2, the part of the mind that mediates between, even read my own writing. This is crazy, dude. No, I seriously can't read my own writing. I wrote too fast. All right, let me read that again.
Make it happen.
All right. So version 2, the part of between the conscious and the unconscious, and is responsible for a person's self-identity. Ooh, that's deep, son.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's 2.
Yeah.
And then 3, a conscious thinking subject. As we can see, there's other definitions to this thing called ego. So a conscious thinking subject, or the mind being something that is responsible, whether conscious or unconscious, that's responsible for a person's self-identity. Dude, I mean, now that I'm kind of like reading it and saying it over, it lets you see how deep this thing is when we talk about what is the ego and people's perceptions of what it actually is. It's not just that, hey, Intuna is overconfident, he's feeling himself, or Jody not. We all know you feel yourself. We all know that.
Come on, man.
But it's much deeper than that. All aspects of your mind and how you look at yourself. And so, again, just to reiterate, for all of us that have these ambitions or these goals or these places, because most of us want to be something. I think we're living in a time where it's never been more possible to visibly see that thing that you think you would want to be.
Yeah, that's all.
The access to seeing like what it is you think you would want to be is like right there in front. It's almost like you can touch it now. Like you can see it. Like you want to be an actor now. You can they've got the actors teaching classes now.
Right.
You can get that close to it.
Right.
And so
starting a lot of business as well.
That too, entrepreneur or whatever. Like the millionaire.
No, I'm saying all these people now that they take a note of that now. It's just like, yo, hey, $500.
Well, exactly. It's all over. And now, like, if you idolize a businessman or a businesswoman, that's now you can get that direct access to her. But here's the thing: the space to you actually becoming that. It's still the same. It's still the same as it ever was, I think, as far as having your mind right, having a plan laid out, and just like the topic of discussion for this whole entire episode of this podcast, recognizing the ego, progress in situations, and dealing with your friends and family on your way to knocking out your goals.
Oh yeah.
So So yeah, I mean that's my breakdown of that.
Cool stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
That was what.
Yeah, man.
That's
We
basically
went super deep, like the ocean. Like
No, but
the
that's
ocean.
basically, I mean, that's basically what to expect on here is we're gonna have different guests on the show that we're gonna be pointing out, and they're gonna be giving us their perspective and their definition of what ego represents for them. Hopefully, it's ego tripping. So this is a very sensitive thing. So you're never gonna know what to expect on here. I mean, you won't know what to expect because we're playing with this, just listening to the definition and just knowing what we know, and then the obstacles that we had to go through. We're still dealing with this every day. Always keep in mind to kind of keep ourselves from acting out emotionally and moving in a place to where we're thinking and moving with thought, you know what I mean, as opposed to moving with emotion. And so looking forward into the show moving forward, we're going to have guests, we're going to have different things going on, and watch this thing thrive. This is our first one. We probably,
because you can hear the mistakes. You were just fumbling and bumbling all the way through. So
man, I mean, oh, dude, let's not get on you, man.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, I just want to make sure that make sure to follow us on other forms of social media. Ego Trip Podcast. So whether it's Twitter / the Ego Trip Podcast, Instagram / the Ego Trip Podcast, just type that in and follow us. Yeah, man, we're happy that y'all are here, and we look forward to continuing. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Yes, sir.